Hi, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of our podcast, Cluster Talks. And today I'm having as a guest Miguel Araujo. He's the general manager of Mobinov. Welcome, Miguel, and thank you for being here with us.
Hello, Joseph. Hi, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here with you and to share some ideas about our work.
Yeah. I think managing clusters, especially nowadays with everything is happening at European level. Miguel and myself, we share the sector. We both work on mobility and automotive, but I would say mobility nowadays. And as many of you guys, many of other cluster managers already faced, sometimes our sectors goes up and everything is great. We have a lot of people knocking our doors to right to become part of our classes. But sometimes we face also challenges as a cluster and challenges as a sector in this case. And nowadays, Miguel, probably it's happening to you as well. We are facing some challenges definitely to how to support our cluster members, right? And at the same time how to keep on float, right? How to keep on the surface the cluster itself, because I was discussing with a friend a few days ago, another cluster manager, and talking about how to support the cluster members and how to help them to survive this wave that we are facing right now. But she pointed out something very important, and she said, for you to help them first, you have to survive as an entity, right? As a cluster. I think that's one of the biggest challenges. How are you managing this situation nowadays, Miguel? Which is the main challenges that you are facing, your cluster is facing at this point?
Yeah, Joseph, I think from our side, the challenges and the struggles that we are facing are more or less the same. We
Hmm.
are we are having European challenges, not Portuguese or Spanish challenges. And I truly believe that our solutions must be at an European level, not at a local level. So we must think more in a regional, as economic regional level, more than isolated level. Um, but first of all, let me say that in times of challenge, the clusters have more responsibilities. This is the right time for clusters. And I'm always saying to public bodies, to in conferences, um, support us because our role is in time. This is the time to act. This is not the time to wait. This is the time to act. And here we are to support the companies and industry. Well, I think more or less our cluster is similar to SIAC. We
Hmm.
only aggregate industry. Let's say retail and post sales are not part of the scope. So Mobinov, it's a platform for aggregating knowledge and competence within the automotive and mobility industry. And we want to promote the increasing and the enhancement of competitiveness and also the internationalization of our sector. But how is our value proposition organized? How is our strategy organized in terms of Movinov's role? First of all, we see the cluster as engines of industrial change.
Hmm.
The cluster works to facilitate innovation, provide guidance on assessing financing and partnerships, and provide strategic anticipation, helping, of course, to transform ambitions into execution. But this is very important because this is the first thing that separates us from a business association, a traditional
Hmm.
business
Hmm.
association. And that's why I always make these differentiations to clarify what's our position and what's the position of a traditional business association. But as you said, the challenges and the transformation of the not only the Portuguese but the European automotive industry, automotive and let's say mobility
Hmm.
industry
Hmm.
requires an integrated approach where competitiveness, networks, and innovation, these three important pillars are not isolated elements, but interconnected pillars that reinforce each other. I
Hmm.
repeat, innovate, competitiveness, networks, innovation.
Hmm.
Here in our cluster, we believe that these three dimensions are essential to ensure the success of companies in a highly dynamic
Hmm.
global context. First of all, competitiveness. I think it's the umbrella of our work.
Hmm.
In our industry, it's not just about cost reduction or operational efficiency. It's about differentiation. And how? Differentiation through innovation and collaboration. Again, competitiveness, networks, innovation. Competitive companies are those that can anticipate trends, adopt new technologies, and adapt quickly to the market changes. That's
Hmm.
why we use sometimes market intelligence or some kind of cluster mapping rather to clarify what's happening in the world and to promote some actions. The another thing I mentioned, the collaborative networks, this is very important because
I
this
think
create
that's one
the
of the
right
keys, right?
ecosystem of the cluster. Yeah, yeah. This is
Mm-hmm.
the ecosystem of the cluster. This is why we are so important. And why? Because we aggregate all the value chain, the big companies, the small companies, startups, technological centers, universities, and so on. This
Hmm.
is why the collaborative networks create the right ecosystem where
Do you, Miguel, do
competitiveness
you
and
aggregate
innovation
also
thrive.
universities and technological centers in your cluster?
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
Um, the companies, as I said, small and medium startups, uh, technological centers, uh, universities, and also business associations.
Hmm.
The,
Or do
the,
you
the,
integrate other business associations as well in
yeah,
your cluster?
yeah. We integrate
Oh, that's
many
very
business
interesting.
associations from the components, from the OEMs,
Hmm.
and some of them with particular areas in terms of
Hmm.
plastics, metals, and so on. And this is why we have this particular ecosystem in Portugal, which I think
Hmm.
is some kind of different, but particularly industry.
You have a
Um,
national coverage in your right in your cluster. So your cluster
yeah,
covers all Portugal, right? There's only one cluster
yes,
there.
yes. We are a
Mm-hmm.
national cluster, not a
Hmm.
regional cluster as you
Hmm.
have in all in
In
Spain.
Spain, yeah, and many parts in Europe as well. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right. And let me ask you because when one thing that I realize in I've been cluster manager for the last what 8 years, I think, something like that. And what something I realize is when the economy goes right, yeah, when things are working and yeah, the all the budgets for the next year are growing like 10% or 50% or whatever percentage the companies want to grow, whatever. Um, the cluster is demanded to focus, as you mentioned, on innovation, competitiveness. I don't know, in particular, sometimes product development, or I don't know, 4.0 industry or EA or whatever new technologies are available for improving the product and also the process. But when we are facing times like the one we are facing right now, as you describe it, and also I remember a few years ago when we were facing COVID as well, all these focus areas go to a second level, second, yeah. And the main thing is like awareness of the market. One of the things that we are most demanded officially on the working groups, but also through receiving WhatsApps and calls from the cluster members, is to try to understand what's happening and try to anticipate what's going to happen in the near future. So somehow the cluster priorities switch, right? And you go from working groups on technological development, as you mentioned, right? These three pillars that you pointed out very, very correctly. You just switch it to just awareness on what's happening geopolitically, economically, regulations, right? And this is a shift that it's not easy to do as a cluster, right? But you have to do it. I don't know if it's happening the same way for you guys, or you, despite all that's happening in Europe, you are able to keep these innovation priorities in the cluster, Miguel.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. Um, Let me say in this way, we have our work based on what we call a triple helix model, where
Mm-hmm,
academia will develop technology, the industry who implement it, and the public bodies. And here the cluster acts as a facilitator,
mm-hmm,
ensuring that these three spheres work in an aligned and efficient manner. But one interesting thing, I usually say that cluster office is a space shuttle.
mm-hmm.
And our work is to travel permanently between the present and the future.
Mhm, mhm,
And just like the space shuttle was designed to connect Earth and space, the automotive cluster links the present and the future of
mhm,
the industry. The cluster acts as the vehicle that transport companies and stakeholders on this journey. So we must anticipate trends. We must travel to the future to see what's happening, what will be the so-called mega trends,
mhm,
what's happening in terms of geopolitical and economical conditions. Now we are facing different times. Um, Globalism is much more different than the previous years.
mhm,
We are now working in economic blocks and arrangements between these economic blocks, and we try to adapt to this new kind of world that we are facing post pandemia and also post war.
how do you support your cluster members with this anticipation? Because I can share a few of the ways that we do it, but I'm very curious on how you do it because for us the most obvious ways to do it is to prepare reports, right? Briefings. Try to make it as short as possible, 1 page, two, three maximum if possible, just to make it as concrete, synthesized as possible for the other general manager from the companies to read it. So we try to publish every quarter a report to anticipate what's happening. Um, but also we try to organize like a master class and workshops at the same time to discuss about that. But I'm very curious, how do you do it? And if you want later on, we can go to how we do it on more detail. But how do you support your class members on this anticipation on what's going to happen on the market, regulations, economically, etc., Miguel?
That's very important because we the times are very strange and difficult, but there
Mm,
is a lot of things to do, but we must be focused.
mm,
Focus is very, very important at this moment because we all know what are the trends, we all know what are the challenges. I would say we are all saying the same things, but what we are doing or what we'll do will define the future of our industry.
mm,
And as I mentioned, the cluster acts here like the vehicle that transport companies and the stakeholders on this journey. Obviously, we have some strategic priorities for
mhm,
this year and for 2026. We are also redefining our action and strategy plan. But at this moment, we have three objective purposes. One
Okay.
is three, very focused on this three. One is monitoring and valorization of the results from the mobilizing agendas, which
Mm-hmm.
are in a maturation phase. I don't know if you are aware of the mobilizing agendas, but they are projects funded by our or under by our recovery and resilience plan, and we can detail more what we are
Is
doing
this
here.
European level or is it Portugal national
National
level?
level, yeah, national level,
Portugal.
our
Oh,
recovery and resilience plan.
oh, I
The
don't know
second
about
one,
that. That's very
I
interesting.
can
That's
explain
from
you
the.
more,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
please do. Please do. Yeah.
if you are interested. But just to clarify, these three focus points. So this question of mobilizing agendas, the active promotion, of course, the in terms of internationalization and attraction of strategic investment, and strengthening the Mobinov's role as an interface between the industry, technology, and public policies. But if you want to go further in terms of our mobilizing agendas, and I think it's interesting to share what we are
Mm-hmm.
doing specifically in this matter, because this is how we materialize. This is how we operationalize this strategy that I mentioned. Uh, Obviously, our activity is leveraged through national and European projects. Uh, and some concrete examples.
Mm-hmm.
We have, or we are developing or collaborating with three major mobilizing agendas funded through our recovery and resilience
Mm-hmm.
plan. These three mobilizing agendas are a good example of our strategy, and they bring together the companies, the big companies, the small companies, startups, the technological centers,
Mm-hmm.
universities, and clusters. They are an example of a collaborative innovation model that we have. First of all, we have a project called HiRep. In this project, we help companies that produce components for combustion vehicles make the transition to the production of components for electrical vehicles. And again, gathers all the players that I mentioned before. Another example, Be Neutral. It's another project. It's a combination between green mobility and smart city. In
Mm-hmm.
this project, we are developing, industrializing, and operating new mobility products and services in a logic to match with smart cities
Mm-hmm.
with platforms, new public transport solutions, micromobility or smooth mobility.
Mm-hmm.
One concrete example under this project, we developed with Toyota in Portugal a vehicle which was used at the Olympic Games last year
Mm-hmm.
as an official vehicle of the Olympics to transport the athletes from their hotels to competition fields. A third example, Drivolution, it's another project mainly focused on improving the shop floor of the companies in terms of robotization, automation, artificial intelligence, uh, let's say more focused on the process in
Mm-hmm.
assembling lines. And we also collaborate, um, let's say, an indirect cooperation onto other projects led by Continental and Capgemini in Portugal,
Mm-hmm.
mainly focus on smart technologies, autonomous and connected mobility, solutions of vehicle to everything, and the creation of a high autonomy urban electric motorcycle. So other inevitable areas of work include green and digital transition. And we try to understand the trends that we have been speaking
Mm-hmm.
about, and create projects to uh, answer to the trends that we are facing and the difficulties the companies are facing.
Miguel, let me
And
ask you, are these projects
yeah,
co-financed by the administration or is something that you promote from the cluster only?
these projects are funded by public agencies, national
Awesome,
funds,
awesome.
and also some kind of financing from the cluster and the companies.
And the
But
companies as well. Let me ask you from
yeah,
the administration, because it's something that we had been discussing with our administration many times. Do the administration does the first step saying, "Hey, colleagues from Mobinov, we have this founding and we need good projects for that, etc., etc." So you later on prepare or seek the best projects for this application for this founding that the administration has available, or do you have the projects first and then go to the administration and say, hey, administration, we have this very good project with these companies. You should found it. You should put money on that. How is it working for you?
yeah, that's very interesting and also very important because I think we have to switch the way that national agencies are working. We must work in a base of bottom up, not the opposite.
Hmm, hmm,
And at this moment, what happens is the national or at European level creates the programs, and we try to manage our interesting between the projects.
hmm,
But I think we have to create a different way of work where we identify the needs, where we identify the challenges, and then we say to the public bodies, this is what we need to face the challenges. And this is very important because I usually say that as a cluster, we are not a solution for anything. We are
hmm,
the vehicle that transport the solution to the companies. So the companies are the ones who knows what they need because a big company has different challenges for their needs,
hmm.
and a startup has different challenges. A small company has different challenges. So we
Different
cannot
challenges, absolutely.
understand
Hmm.
that one size fits all. It's not the correct solution.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what we are doing at this moment is we identify the projects that can be financed from national or European level. We try to integrate them with the challenges that and the needs that we have, but we want to create a different model, and we are presenting a different model, a bottom-up model to the national agencies
Hmm.
to create more direct and specific programs to the needs of the cluster and obviously the our end customer, which are the companies.
Is it something that the administration put on you? So they ask you to do it, or is it your initiative that you say, "Hey, we have to do that," and go to the administration to provide information for better decision making? How do you initiate this approach?
Joseph, we have the strategic and action plan.
Mm,
We continuously speak with our members to know and to update their needs,
mhm,
and then we we when I say we, me and my team, we try to create the solutions to be presented to the administration and
mhm,
obviously approved by the administration. So what we have a strategic plan with specific needs. Now,
mm.
from each specific need, we are finding the solution to answer to that specific need, and we are working on this base. And so far, I think it's being a very good model.
Mm, mm. So your cluster members are somehow involved on preparing these insights for the administration, right?
Yeah, we try to. For instance, we are we have an open call, a national open call.
Mm,
We call them mini agenda because they are smaller than these previous mobilizing agendas that I explained.
mm,
What we are doing, creating separate projects. One for companies from textiles, another one for companies from the metals, other project for the plastics and molds, other project for the technological uh, companies. And we, from our side, we contact the companies. We say them, we have this particular study. You mentioned it before, the reports that we are has a cluster we have to do, and we promote a lot of reports, technical reports, and with that, we contact the companies and say to them, we have this financing possibility. We can address specific needs with this project. Are you interested? You can come with us. We are creating a consortium between these
mhm,
platform, the technological centers, the companies, big, smalls, universities. Let's co-create a solution for your needs. And this is
mm.
somehow how we work to promote the companies and to answer their needs.
What are the main stoppers that the administration gives you when you go with this kind of proposals? Is like a it's like the typical, oh, we don't have enough money right now, maybe next year, etc., etc. Or there are other stoppers that you have to overcome in order to proceed with these proposals. But I guess
Yeah,
that few of them proceed, as you mentioned, right?
yeah. The first stopper is obviously the financial conditions. We have very limited financial resources.
Mm,
We have a public mission. Our work is a public mission, no doubts about this. But we don't have public support. We have projects, but we don't have public direct finance to our particular and basic needs, let's say in this
mhm,
way. So I
mhm,
would say that from my administration, the first stopper, and I understand, of course, it's our role as managing directors to manage the cluster. Uh, the financial conditions, because we have a lot of ideas, but we
mhm,
cannot do everything we want. We are now discussing with the Portuguese government some kind of um, uh, basis of financing to support the cluster needs.
mhm,
And with this, we can do more. We don't want money to spend or whatever. We want money to do more because we know that we have the capabilities, the competencies, the will to do more. But to do more, to get more companies, um, we have to have a different support. We are now
mhm.
struggling and negotiating with the Portuguese government this kind of support. I think I have a good feeling about that we are going to be succeed in this pretension.
Mm, mm. Are you
Another point,
government? Yeah,
just
go
let me
on,
say,
please. Yeah, yeah.
if you don't mind, because I just mentioned the financial constraint. Obviously, we have the automotive or mobility industry has a very wide range of companies and a very wide range of different companies with different size and obviously with different needs. So sometimes it's very difficult to create the solutions or the projects to these different approaches of the companies. As we said, one size fits all. It's not for the automotive and mobility industry. So we have some difficulties in creating different projects to have different solutions for different companies, and this is a challenge. But we try to manage the situation, but sometimes without the success that we wanted to achieve. But we must face the reality. And another thing, it's very difficult. In my master thesis some
Hmm.
years ago, I defended the competition as a way for the internationalization of companies. And this is the
Mm.
mix between uh, cooperation and competition.
Okay.
And I think the times will manage this situation, because this time we must joint efforts. We must, in some cases, companies can be competitive, but if they cooperate, they can scale up their activity and create different, better solutions to, uh, for instance, their internationalization process, or even to accelerate their technological needs.
Hmm.
So, but this is theoretical. It's more easy to explain than to do it in a practical way. But this is very important, and we are seeing the big companies around the world with this movement. We are seeing the OEMs cooperating between them, the big tier ones cooperating between them. I think this is a cultural change that's happening, but we must bring this cultural change to the small companies,
Okay.
and it's
Okay.
more difficult to act in this case.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Are these funds from your government directly from the Portuguese government, or do they go to Europe to get funding for this kind of projects? Because sometimes we approach our national government, the most of them they try to get European funding for the kind of project that we are trying to promote. I don't know, or even our national, our regional government as well. They try to go for European funding for this kind of projects. Do you do the same, or do you have your own financing from the government
No, mainly our government get the funds from the European line.
as
Uh,
well? Okay, okay, okay.
we have very, very low resources uh, by our public financing to promote the innovation in every field of the companies.
Mhm.
So I would say 90 or 99, 95% of these national projects are funded by
European.
European
Hmm. Hmm.
funds.
Hmm. What are you working right now? What kind of project do you have in mind? And especially on this anticipation on what's happening on the market, what do you have in mind? Are you preparing some kind of workshops with your cluster members? Are you getting some experts to your cluster to talk to the cluster members? What are you working on?
Yeah. So um, we have other areas of intervention. There are two very important ones, including the green and the digital transition. And that's why we created and developed the decarbonization roadmap for the automotive industry. We presented this roadmap to our companies in 2023, where we engaged dozens of companies in the sector. We also created a platform for measuring companies' carbon footprints, to which we associated an action plan aiming to reducing emissions. So in this specific field, we have the roadmap, we have the platform for measuring the carbon footprint. We also
Mhm.
have a plan for each company engaged in this project. Now we are working in the next step. So what intervention is needed, what in every specific area of the company has to be done to in order to uh, to decrease the carbon footprint of the company. And now we are working in this second step of the solution. In terms of digital transition, for instance, we are leaders of digital innovation,
Mhm.
which aims to provide support for services for the necessary digital
So Mobinov
transformation
is
of the
managing
value
the
chain.
Digital Innovation Hub, right?
Yes, we are leaders of that.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. Um, so we are trying to, with this project, creating the, the transformation of the value chain, both at the product and process level. We are working very much in terms of qualification and capacitation.
Mm.
It's a very important pillar nowadays. People, our workers. Uh, at this moment, we are engaged with two European projects. One,
Mm.
I don't know if you know the 3RAM under the Automotive Skill Alliance,
Mm.
where we
Mm.
are uh, creating some reskilling, upskilling, training, and skill strategy to in terms of digital and green transition. And what another one very interesting, uh, call it voltage, um, because as you know, we'll have a battery factory in Portugal.
Yeah.
We are already making the way, and this project aims to prepare a workforce with the necessary skills to work in the battery industry. And so we are now working and preparing other specific projects in terms of qualification and
Mm.
capacitation, and very focused on the innovation. Um, so that's why I told you before, we are creating separated groups in the automotive and mobility industry,
Mm. Mm.
textiles, plastics, metals, technologies. In each one of these areas, we are creating projects to address the needs and also the trends that we want to answer and to achieve. Um, I think we are happy because we are trying to identify, and with some success, projects under national or European level
Mm.
to address these areas
These topics.
of
Mm.
work.
Mm.
And so we have very good expectations for 2026 and 2027.
Mm.
Let's see if this strategy, that new strategy that we are trying to work and manage, will have the results that we want to achieve. Okay.
Awesome. Awesome. Let me ask
And
you, do you
also
have
we are,
also oh yeah,
can,
yeah, go
I
go
can,
on, go on.
sorry, I was remembering because in we were created as an automotive cluster,
Mm.
but
Mm.
now since June of 2024, we moved towards an automotive and mobility
And
cluster.
mobility.
So
Mm.
with this, we are opening the areas of work uh, from Mobinov. First movement, we integrated the two-wheel industry,
Mm.
bicycles and motors. We are
Mm.
Portugal. In Portugal, we are the biggest producers of bicycles in Europe.
Mm.
So we have
Well, I
we
didn't
have
know that.
know-how. Yeah, it's interesting. Since the pandemic, we are the biggest bicycle producers in Europe.
Awesome.
Um, and we are creating also some programs to match the automotive industry with the bike industry,
Mm.
creating synergies, sharing some knowledge, and another important thing, uh, as you can imagine, most of the companies from the bike industry came from China. But
Mm.
if we have the automotive companies industry in Portugal uh, and even in Spain, we know we are very strong on that. Why can't we provide the solutions for the bike industry?
That makes
Of
a lot of
course we can.
sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Of course we can. And with this, and we know the automotive industry is in a more high level, we
Hmm.
can push the bike industry to a better level. And this is very important for us. And also, we are working now in different mobility projects, some of them in terms of hydrogen, uh, others in terms of battery solutions. So we are opening uh, our field of work
Hmm.
to a new field in terms of mobility, not only so focused on automotive industry.
Are you afraid? Because I know some clusters who did a very similar movement as you did. So they were basically or originally automotive clusters. They moved to mobility, and some of them are afraid to lose focus on the automotive industry for the, let's say, for the traditional or long term members. How do you manage this balance, Miguel?
Yeah, that's very interesting because I'm a new one in this movement, but but thinking a lot of times about what you mentioned. Um, I think this is first of all, I think it's a natural movement and an important movement.
Hmm.
We need to think more the cars in a different way, integrated in the new paradigm of smart cities and the new paradigm of mobility. One of the most challenges in terms of humanity is mobility. In every elections at a national or a local level, people speak about naturally immigration and also mobility. So we have to have a different and a specific approach and strategy for the mobility. And we even know that the cars are more a tablet than the old cars. So there are lots of technology uh,
Mm-hmm.
work. We have the what now is called the software driven vehicles, which will change the paradigm of the OEMs. So I think this movement it's necessary. Obviously, the focus uh, in this moment is very important because we
Mm-hmm.
cannot change our roles only for mobility solutions, for technology solutions, and we cannot forget the traditional components that we need. Of course not. So I think we don't at this moment, but probably we'll have to have a specific department inside the cluster dedicated to mobility,
Mm,
one
okay.
specifically dedicated to automotive, in order to create, uh, I would say, mini strategies between inside the big and the macro strategy of the cluster.
I
But
understand.
that's a
That's
very,
very
very
important
important
thing.
point
Yeah.
you mentioned. Very,
Mm,
very.
mm. Yeah. I think that's one of the big challenges. We thought about that here in Catalonia, but the thing here, Miguel, is that I mean I don't know if you got that information, but Catalonia is the most prolific uh, area or state in Europe with a number of clusters. We have more than 50 clusters here in our region. So we already
It's
have
amazing.
a motor. Yeah, we have already have a motorcycle cluster. We have a train cluster, and so what we decided to do was to create like a meta cluster related to
Yeah,
mobility, yeah, which is called Movem. And we have the three main classes, which is motorcycle, train, and automobile, which is ourselves. And also we integrated like energy efficiency, materials, plastics. So other clusters, very specific clusters that we all together represent the mobility sector in all of its, amplitude and possibilities. So let's we have to see how it's working. We just start 2 years ago with this alliance, despite that of course we already collaborate among us long time ago, but officially we started 2 years ago, and we are trying to make some push to the administration. Actually, we prepared a document last year, no, beginning of this year, for the administration, explaining where was the situation of the mobility industry altogether, and where the trends were going, and what do
Yeah.
we think was necessary to do to yeah, I would say to improve, but at the same time to mitigate the challenges and the opportunities that we receive as a nation in Europe. So yeah, we're trying to focus on that, but right now we are just waiting for some financing, not for the study itself, which we finance internally among the 9 clusters, but to start implementing some of the actions that we proposed. Yeah, because I mean we need money to promote that.
Of
Some of the
course.
actions we can put some hours from our own teams or our cluster members, but there are some of them that we need some money from the administration. Otherwise, it's impossible for us to proceed.
Yeah. How do you manage your financing? Do you have public support, or it
Oh
is
no, we
similar
don't.
to
No,
our
we are.
yeah?
It's only private financing. Yeah, yeah.
But
Of course,
I
we
think
apply
many
to
clusters in
projects.
Spain have the financing from the public bodies.
It depends on the regions. There are regions who support more
I
the
think in Galicia,
cluster.
yeah.
Yeah, in Galicia, they have a very nice support from the administration. In our case, in Catalonia, we have a how it's called. It's a like a cluster policy, something like that. And some clusters apply to that, and they get some money, but they don't get much money, to be honest. And the administration pays very badly, and in terms of timing, because it takes
Yeah.
like 2 3 years to receive the money that you got, and mainly is like you can apply to some like structure costs from your cluster, but it's mainly focused on projects, you know. So
Yeah.
for the projects point of view, yeah, both regional and national, we have some financial support. Yeah, yeah, not like European, but good enough.
Yeah. But this brings another point, which I think is important, and I'm talking about this with our national bodies and governments, which is okay. We have the projects that can support our activity, but we must take care about the financing for the clusters. For
Mm,
instance, I have a project, uh, a new one, with the financing of 50% for my cluster. And I told them, for us, it is impossible to do it because we cannot manage
yeah.
the other 50% for for our own responsibility. It's just impossible. So yeah, if we can have projects with a financing of 85, 90%, perhaps we can manage the other part with our financing, or with the support with the companies. But this is very important because it's not just not have to, okay, you have the projects, you can apply to them. No, we cannot apply to every project. We have limits for the auto financing, and we have also limits between the percentage of that we are able to manage. And this is very, very important.
Hmm, hmm. Yeah, it is. It is. I think it's one of the key elements. I understand from the administration point of view that it's not easy to promote this kind of cluster policies, because a cluster should not survive only on administration funding. It has to has their own resources. The having members means that the cluster is useful. Therefore, it should promote it. But I think some kind of support, maybe related to the cluster dimension or something like that, it would make a lot of sense. So I understand it's not easy, but as you mentioned, I think it's very, very important to be considerate. Otherwise, especially in the times that the automotive industry is facing right now, where we are losing members, not because the cluster is not working, not because the cluster is not doing what he has to do, but because the cluster members decide to move, try to find business in other sectors, so they move to other
Yeah,
clusters
yeah,
sometime,
yeah,
and that's a challenge for the cluster itself and to keep supporting the sector.
yeah. But Joseph, I I can understand that it's difficult, but we uh, our role is a public mission. We are
Mm,
doing the work that should be done by the public bodies. We
mm,
are in the middle of this way. So we are not, as I mentioned in the beginning of our talk, we are not a business association. We have the
we are
cluster
non-profit.
status.
Yeah, yeah.
If we are a cluster, a non-profit organization, means that we are not here to make money. We
Hmm.
just want to make things happen. We just want to support the companies. We just want to improve their competitiveness. To do so, we need support. I don't think we are asking too much. We are just saying to the national governments, support us because we can be your handwrite in your public policies.
Hmm.
We want to uh, co-construct the public policies with you, and we want to be your supporters in uh, this promotion of the several transitions that we are facing. We are the ones who really take care of the companies. Why? Because we are more close to them. We
Hmm.
are more, we are near them. Uh, And the public bodies have, they are in a highway to the companies. So we can be that vehicle that run the highways
Hmm.
into the companies. So I think we are not asking for too much. I think what
Absolutely,
we are,
absolutely.
our needs are basic to do a better job. We are doing a great job, but I think you will agree we can do much more. We want to do much more. We
Absolutely,
are able to
absolutely.
do much more. This is the
At the end
point.
of the day, yeah, at the end of the day, we are in touch in the day-to-day situations and problems and opportunities with the companies. So I think we are very, very important. Um, let's say we have a lot of sensitivity on what's happening on the market, what's necessary, and as you mentioned, because we do not uh, try to seek for any economic yeah result or something like that. We are very, very aseptic and so therefore very trustfully on the priorities of the market. Miguel,
Yeah.
thank you very much for this time. I think it was very interesting learning more about you and how do you do it?
Yeah,
How do
the
you
time runs
perform it?
fast.
It runs very fast, my friend. It
Yeah.
was very, very interesting talking to you, Miguel. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this time.
It was my pleasure, Joseph.
Okay.
It was a
Okay.
very good pleasure to have this talk with you, and I hope we can repeat presentially
Absolutely.
this talk. It would be more interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much, Miguel Araujo. Thank you for your time from Mobinov. And for the rest of you guys, thank you very much for listening and keep in touch and see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.